Dear friends, welcome back. This is episode number 69. We will go to Order 41. Appeals from original decrees. Rule 1. These are all the procedure. There is not much difficulty. So just a reading of the rule itself would be enough. Not much explanation is required. Every appeal shall be presented in the form of a memorandum signed by the appellant or his pleader and presented to the court or to such officer as it appoints in this behalf. The memorandum shall be accompanied by a copy of the judgment. This was an amendment in 1999. The word judgment was substituted for the words decree appeal from, and unless the appellate court dispenses therewith of the judgment on which it is founded. So, memorandum shall be accompanied by a copy of the decree appeal from, and unless the appellate court dispenses therewith of the judgment on which it is founded. So, before 1999, when an appeal was being filed, it was necessary to produce copy of the judgment and the copy of the decree, certified copy. But judgment can be dispensed, copy of the judgment could be dispensed with by the appellate court. Decree was compulsory. Because the appeal is against a decree under 96, not against the judgment. Then what is the meaning of this amendment? The memorandum shall be accompanied by a copy of the judgment. What about the decree? It has to be produced, but later. Why decree is necessary is that, I will give an example. I filed a suit against you for realization of 50 lakhs. You raised so many contentions. The court decreed the suit as prayed for. You are filing an appeal. What is the valuation of the appeal? Since it was 50 lakhs, so far as Kerala is concerned, beyond 20 lakhs, it is the High Court. Suppose it is for 10 lakhs. By reading the judgment, one will not understand unless it is specifically stated in the judgment that what is the exact amount decreed, what is the exact amount claimed, etc. That will be seen only from the decree. The amount claimed, interest, this, from this date onwards, valuation for the suit, court fee paid, then the result. That will be available only in the decree. Judgment and narration of the facts, narration of what is contained in the what is the plaintiff's case, narration of what is the defendant's case, then issues will be, the following issues are raised for trial. Issues will be answered one by one. Conclusion, there will be operative portion of the judgment. Suppose the last portion of the judgment is, hence the suit is decreed as prayed for. What is the amount of the decree? What is the interest awarded? Together with interest as claimed. So court fee is to be calculated for the purpose of appeal. How it is calculated? The amount which is the subject matter of the appeal, same as in the trial court, Section 52 of the Kerala Court Fees Act, together with interest decreed up to the date of decree. That should be the valuation. So if the suit is for 10 lakhs together with interest, interest is to be calculated up to the date of decree and that will be added in the valuation. Court fee has to be paid for that. So all these details will be available only in the decree, not in the judgment. So how to ascertain by the High Court or by the Appellate Court office that you have paid the correct court fee? Only from seeing the decree. What will be done? Valuation as stated in the appeal memorandum by you. Suppose you have committed a mistake will occur there. But it has to be verified at a subsequent stage. When? That is decided in one case. Rita versus Paul and others. Rita versus Paul and others. ILR. It is ILR 2015 1 Kerala 148, same as 2014 4 KLT 659. Decree need be produced by the appellant only if the appeal is not dismissed under Rule 11 or being barred by time or such other defects. What is Rule 11? Rule 11, admission of the appeal. We will come to Rule 11. What are the consequences? What are the different stages of appeal, etc. Rule 11 is a stage of admission. Every appeal requires admission. If it is admitted, then only notice will be issued to the respondent. So, only after the admission, the decree need be produced. Otherwise, it is sufficient if the judgment is produced before the appellate court along with the memorandum of appeal. That is the sum and substance of the meaning. In Rita versus Paul, that was held so. Then proviso, provided that where two or more suits have been tried together and a common judgment has been delivered, therefore, and two or more appeals are filed against any decree covered by that judgment, whether by the same appellant or by different appellants, the appellate court may dispense with the filing of more than one copy of the judgment. Two or more appeals. Two or more suits have been tried together and a common judgment was passed. It is necessary to file two appeals. One appeal is filed with a certified copy of the judgment. Another appeal is also to be filed, that is being filed same day or next day or thereafter, immediately thereafter. Copy of the judgment is to be produced, certified copy. How many certified copies are to be produced? Court has power to dispense with it, filing of more than one copy of the judgment. That is a power of the appellate court. Contents of the memorandum. The memorandum shall set forth concisely under distinct heads the grounds of objection to the decree appeal from, without any argument or narrative, and such grounds shall be numbered consecutively. Concisely and under distinct heads the grounds of objection to the decree appeal from. If it is a first appeal, it is sufficient after showing the cause title in the appeal to state the grounds of appeal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Then comes the valuation and all those things, court fee. But if it is a second appeal, it is necessary to have statement of facts, plus grounds, plus substantial question of law. These are the three aspects to be there in a memorandum of second appeal. But in the memorandum of first appeal, it is sufficient to have the grounds alone, grounds of appeal. But whenever it is being filed in the High Court, from practice, from the actual experience, it is seen that it is always better to have some statement of facts so that the court can go through it. Most of the judges go through the appeal memorandum and all those things. So it is easier for them if you give the statement of facts also, so that the court can understand it quickly without wasting much time. See, the High Court judges, they are not having much time. Every day they will have new cases. So during night, all the High Court judges will be busy in reading. So you have to provide all the necessary inputs so that it will be easier for the judges. Otherwise, create difficulties. It will. So it is better to have a statement of facts also, but it is sufficient legally to state the grounds. How the grounds of objection? Without any argument or narrative. You cannot have an argument in the grounds. Arguments are to be based separately, made separately, not in the grounds. Then, where the appeal is against a decree for payment of money, the appellant shall, within such time as the appellate court may allow, deposit the amount disputed in the appeal or furnish such security in respect thereof as the court may think fit. Decree for payment of money, the appellate court has jurisdiction to, the appellate court may direct, appellate court has jurisdiction to grant time or to deposit the disputed amount or furnish such security. When it comes to stay under Rule 5, this becomes relevant. So please note this also. When the appeal is against a decree for payment of money, the appellant shall, within such time as the appellate court may allow, deposit the amount disputed in the appeal or furnish such security in respect thereof as the court may think fit. Now please reserve this till Rule 5. When we see Rule 5, this becomes relevant. Now what is the period of limitation for filing an appeal? First appeal. It is 30 days. Which is the article under the Limitation Act? 116. The article says, under the Code of Civil Procedure, to a High Court from any decree or order, 90 days. To any other court from any decree or order, 30 days. What is the commencement of the date? The date of decree or order. From that date onwards, 30 days if it is in the appellate court, in the subordinate court. If it is 90 days if the appeal is to the High Court. Then how to compute that 30 days and all those things? Suppose that the trial court passed a judgment and decree on 1/1/2020. 30 days will expire on 31st January. Why? The first day, the day on which the cause of action arises, shall be excluded. That is 12(1) of the Limitation Act. Then 30 days, you have to get the copy of the judgment. Here, as provided in Rule 1, formerly copy of the decree was necessary. Judgment was also necessary, unless it is dispensed with. Now it is sufficient if you have the judgment. To get a copy of the decree, it will take time. Who prepares the decree? It will be prepared by the decree clerk in the court. And the judgment copy will be sent to the office. It will be available in the office. It will go to the decree clerk. There will be heavy rush there. Pendency will be there. The decree clerk, according to the priority, takes one after the other and drafts the decree. Then it will be signed by the judge. Judge verifies and signs it. Because so many papers are to be looked into before preparing the decree. So it takes time to get the certified copy of the decree. whereas judgment will be obtained sometimes on the same day or within 1 week, depending on the pressure of work in the court office. Sometimes on the same day you will get it nowadays, or within a short time, not much. So you can file an appeal immediately. But if you want to produce the decree, it takes months together. That is why in 99 amendment it was dispensed with for the time being. It is sufficient if you produce the judgment. Then there is one thing, the decretal portion of the judgment. That also can be obtained if necessary. Operative portion of the judgment separately, valuation and all those things will be shown, etc. Now, I gave the example. The judgment was passed, judgment and decree were passed on 1/1/2020. You made the copy application to get certified copy of the judgment and decree. You got the certified copy of the judgment after 15 days, on the 15th day. So you got it on 15/1/2020. 15/1/2020. How many days left? So would you get 30 days? Suppose you got the copy of the judgment after 31st January. Is the appeal barred? No. Section 12 of the Limitation Act provides for exclusion of time to get certified copy of the judgment and decree. That will be excluded. There is a method of computation of the period of limitation. We will discuss it in detail while dealing with the Limitation Act, Section 12. That also we have to study, how to find out the last day of limitation. It is to some extent difficult. I will give examples, then we will work up. So, this period of 30 days and 90 days, that is a period of limitation. In the Limitation Act, there is an expression, the definition clause, period of limitation. Then there is an expression, prescribed period. Prescribed period is the period computed after excluding the necessary time taken for copy of the judgment, etc. There are several exclusions, etc. in the Limitation Act. There is a case for not running time, starting time, then exclusion, extension, all those things are possible under the Limitation Act. We will deal with it. But you are entitled to get the time taken for getting the copy of the judgment excluded in computing the period of limitation. But the time spent by you, suppose you judgment was passed on 1/1/2020. You applied for copy on 15th of January. That time will not be excluded. The time taken by the court to give the copy of the judgment. Time spent by the court, actually, not your delay. So there is a method of computation. I will take it in detail, Section 12 of the Limitation Act. So this is Rule 1. Now, Rule 2. Grounds which may be taken in appeal. The appellant shall not, except by leave of the court, urge or to be heard in support of any ground of objection not set forth in the memorandum of appeal. But the appellate court in deciding the appeal shall not be confined to the grounds of objection set forth in the memorandum of appeal or taken by leave of the court under this rule. So, what is the importance of the grounds of appeal? You are giving notice to the other side that you have taken the following grounds in the appeal. These are the objections being raised by you challenging the judgment and decree of the trial court. So you are confining your points to those grounds. But you omitted to raise some grounds. It happens by mistake. But the court may grant leave. So, except by leave of the court, the appellant shall not, is the rule. But leave can be granted by the court to urge or be heard an objection not set forth in the memorandum of appeal. You omitted something. If it is a question of law, pure question of law, it need not be stated as a ground. It can be raised. If it is a question of fact or a mixed question of law and fact, then it is necessary to set forth in the memorandum of appeal. Otherwise, you will not be allowed to raise it in the appeal unless the court grants leave. But the appellate court in deciding the appeal shall not be confined to the grounds of objection set forth in the memorandum of appeal or taken by leave of the court. So, grounds of objection set forth in the memorandum of appeal, grounds which are raised by leave of the court. But while deciding the appeal, court is not precluded from considering any other point which are borne out by records. It is the discretion of the court. It is the power of the court. What is necessary for the appellate court? To decide the appeal on the merits. It does not depend on the astuteness in pleading, the astuteness, the cleverness in drafting, the proficiency in drafting, or the year of standing of the advocate at the bar, or inexperience of the advocate. All those things are not constraints for the court in deciding the appeal on the merits in accordance with the law. So it is the duty of the appellate court to decide in accordance with the law. Decision in accordance with the law takes in decision on the merits which is correct, legal, proper, on the basis of the facts and evidence on record. So even if a lawyer or a party has omitted to look into one part of the evidence, or they think that it is immaterial or irrelevant, but the court on going through the evidence finds that that is very relevant for the decision, nothing prevents the court from deciding the appeal on the merits by taking into grounds which are not raised in the memorandum of appeal plus the grounds which have been taken with the leave of the court. So there is no bar for the court in deciding the appeal on the merits, whether you have taken the grounds in the appeal memorandum or whether you have got the leave of the court to raise some points additionally. Nothing prevents the court from doing it. Because the ultimate object is decision in accordance with the law and thereby imparting justice to the parties. It is not on technicalities. Technicalities should not prevail over substantial justice. Provided that the court shall not rest its decision on any other ground unless the party who may be affected thereby has had a sufficient opportunity of contesting the case on that ground. The appellate court cannot take it secretly and decide something, but the appellate court has to disclose it. See, this ground is not raised in the appeal. He has also not raised with the leave of the court. But on going through the records, I find that such a point is there. What do you say? The respondent must be given an opportunity to explain. He may have an answer. Hear that. Otherwise, you take it for judgment, you go through all those things and you write the judgment without giving an opportunity to the respondent to explain the circumstances which are apparently against him. He may have an explanation. Suppose something is borne out from the evidence of the plaintiff and the court thinks that it is a very material point for deciding in favor of the plaintiff. Suppose you put it to the defendant. The defendant may have an explanation on the basis of the records. So, without hearing him, the court cannot take it up for himself and decide it without affording a meaningful opportunity of being heard to the affected parties. So, that is why the proviso is there. Now, 3. Rejection or amendment of memorandum. 3 onwards we will see in the next episode because the time is running out. There are certain limitations for it, otherwise could have continued. We will have 3 onwards in the next episode. Thank you.